he is very comfortable on this Nidalee, even though it hasn't been invoked for a while. Oh, Shockwave, he hops, he skips, he jumps. There's already 2 summoners burned. Nuke Duck is going nowhere. Easy peasy hit, and it's first blood for Trek.
All right, Mickey looking for the knocker. Wow, Memento gets bursted down. First blood picked up by Kobe.
Fnatic have overcommitted. Jessis is down. Reckless looking for more, though. And that's going to be it. No! Caps takes down Shay, and he's going to turn in for another Fnatic come up you. All right, Betsy gets stopped up. Scout of the weekend. Jersey flashing auto. Oh, boy.
Welcome to the LCS studios here in Berlin. It is Friday night and we have 2 best-of-3s, a flashback to the summer finals, and some unicorns looking to boost their confidence against a struggling European legacy. As you can see there, Mithy, he's all smiles. He is ready to go, as well as Perks getting in the zone. Well, then they're behind them. They're all checking their setup. Good evening. I'm EpicSkillshot supporter, and joining me at the analyst desks, Andrew VODS Day and Martin the Fish Show Lunga. We, of course, Andy, you and me, we got to watch from home yesterday, and we didn't have to be
super relaxed
in all of the action.
Got to enjoy all the fun.
No, but it was very fun to watch. I know it was a very long day for you guys, though.
It was a long day, weird day as well, because a lot of different stuff happened. But in the end, I was actually pretty happy with the Origin Rocket series, and congratulations to Rocket for the first win.
Well, we're going to rehash a bit more of that, because yesterday was indeed a long day at the UOL. And to catch you all up on what went down, here's Quick Shot.
Thank you very much, Sharks. To Fisher, you hit the nail on the head. It was a long day, and the day started with Giants and Vitality. They took to the Rift to kick off what was a marathon evening of matches. Now, after Giants picked up a win in game number 1, a critical game-breaking bug occurred in game 2 of the series. As outlined in the European LCS rule set, the disadvantaged team was offered a remake, and the team accepted. Vitality then went on to take the win in the restarted game 2. They also then closed out the series in game number 3, picking up only their 2nd match win of the split. Now, once they cleared the stage, Origin then took on Rocket, and boy, oh boy, was it a marathon. Fish and I loved every single second of it, and I wanted to run through some of the stats, okay? 16 Dragons, 9 Barons, and over 10,000 CS was killed during the course of those 3 games, all right? A total cumulative gold of nearly 600,000. That is not a typo on your screen. 100 kills were secured during the course of those 3 games. 1,255 wards, 44 turrets were deconstructed, and a total game time of 164 blissful, beautiful League of Legends minutes. At the end of it, it was Rocket that obviously picked up the win. And let's take a look at what that did for the standings, okay? Giants and Rocket, they are now tied at 1 win and 7 losses at the bottom of Group A. Both of them tied in 4th place. We need to see who's gonna drop down to that promotion slot. Origin, on the other hand, yet to win a series. They are 2 behind Vitality, so they are much closer to locking in that spot for the promotion tournament, and we'll need to keep an eye on how the games play out. And of course, because of those 2 results, Misfits have now guaranteed themselves a place in the playoffs, in the postseason, and that's exciting for a team that's in their inaugural split. You know, Challenger Series teams playing in LCS have been traditionally very successful. Let's look forward to the rest of the week, because on Saturday, Rocket will be taking on Vitality, and Misfits, who I just talked about, will be testing their might against H2K. That is a battle to determine who is currently the 2nd best team in Europe at this moment in time. And on Sunday, we will be playing out one additional best-of-3 between Giants and Origin. This is one of those weeks that we do have an extra best-of series to play through. Games will start at 4 o'clock, so be sure to set your reminders, and let's see if Origin can actually pick up a win. Tonight, though, we're setting our eyes towards the top of the table teams, and for a closer look at what is in store for us this evening, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you. Fantastic breakdown. Over 10 KCS, 1,000+ wards, and some cow tipping.
Yeah, we did talk about some cow tipping. Apparently Trevor doesn't know about it, which is really weird. I had so many people actually tweet about how some people claim it's a myth. And
I really don't want to get back into it. I really want to look at it. Yeah, I'm sorry. That is my bad, but I am going to bring it back and look at our first match of today because it is a super interesting one, a rematch of our summer finals between G2 and Splyce. And while the rosters may be the same, a lot has changed over 5 months for these teams. G2, they were victorious there and they are still dominant domestically. No one seems to be able to touch them. And on the other side of the coin, there is Splyce. They were the losing finalists, but finalists nonetheless. And now they have dropped down and they are still finding their form to go above the average or the middle of the pack where they are at now. So we wanted to take a look at the teams and at the players lane by lane and see where exactly things changed and where they differ from then. And we're going to start at the top lane, Expect versus Wonder. And for me personally, where Expect was a weak link last year around, he has really come into his own this season.
Now Expect, he was an individual that was struggling in lane last split. He was always playing tanks because his team really couldn't trust him to play those carry styles of champion. But this split, he's completely shifted that mentality. He has a 100% win rate on Rumble. He's consistently going even, and he's a big contributing factor to the team of G2.
I do still think we see some communication issues, which is kind of to be expected. He's obviously still improving his English and synergy with the team. On the other side, though, Wonder, I feel like is a guy we expected a lot from coming into the split because he had such a dominating summer split last year. Lately, it's been, looking better. He's playing Renekton, he's playing Gnar, Rumble. These champions really fit him, so the new meta here is good for him up in the top lane. And if he can play around his jungler, then they can actually do some good stuff.
So relatively even as far as the top lane is concerned, but as we look towards the jungle, there is a disparity. Of course, Trick, 2-time MVP, still crushing it consistently every single game. Now up against Trashy, who has not been doing so hot. And how far do we think Trashy is behind Trick in this matchup?
I think he's pretty far behind Trick. Overall, Trick is just more of a complete player who can offer both early game pressure, but also be very strong later on in the game. Trashy is trying to find his footing, honestly, in this meta here. He focused more on the early game lately, which was a bit of a success last week with the Elise pick. When he can play around Wonder, we need to see the same thing. He has to be able to snowball early against Trick.
It's very important, but when you ask a lot of the different teams throughout Europe, they all say that Trick is a very difficult jungler to put down. He is someone that consistently performs. He is 2-time MVP for a reason, and it's just a matter of, I think that right now, Trashy is still finding his way to catch up to Trick.
Yeah, possible big disparity there in the jungle, and if we look towards the mid lane where we see some action there as well, Perkz has really come into his own. We have to give him credit for the season he has played so far, and Senpai, he seems to be stagnating a bit.
Well, Perkz as an individual, I think his growth has been immense. We saw very early on into the split, he was working on these issues that he felt he had, and then looking back at IEM in the last week, I feel like that he has grown into one of the best mid laners here in Europe. And his counterpart, Senpai, I think that given that they both started at the same time and haven't matched each other's growth, is a little bit surprising and could be a weak point for the side of Splyce.
Right, and then if we move towards the bottom lane, well, if we look at things that have grown and differed for G2, we talked about Expect no longer being the weak link. In the bottom lane, is Sven and Mithy the possible weak link in G2? It even sounds weird just to talk about it that way, but it seems so.
I mean, they have been in some of the games. We just have to say that, we've seen it against H2K. We saw it a bit at IEM, dying in the laning phase. I think Sven specifically is still doing well as an individual player, and he's still the best AD carry in Europe, but there has been some problems from his support.
Yeah, Mithy, last split, he had a total of 63 deaths throughout 36 games. He was one of the lowest death supports throughout the league. This split, in only 18 games, he's already at 50 deaths, just short of his summer split record. And that just goes to show how much he is getting caught out, how much he is struggling, but he's aware of these weaknesses.
Now, and obviously on the other side, with Copy and Mickey in here, we kind of looked at him last year and said these guys are the second best in Europe. They could maybe become the best bottom lane if they improve a lot. I don't feel like they are the best right now. I think there's other bot lanes in Europe who's kind of competing against them at the moment. They're very even with like Hansama and Ignar, these kind of duos we see. I think Copy, though, is actually the best performing Splyce member. Very consistent in team fights, deals a lot of damage, and they can rely on him as long as he gets out of the laning phase.
So I'm hearing a lot of ups and downs for both teams. I do feel like you guys are edging a bit towards G2. So how will this series play out and why? Who will take it?
I'm looking at G2. I think there should be a clean 2-0 for the side. I think that right now they should be able to hold their own in top side. I think the bottom lane, even with the difficulties, will still go fairly even. And I think the big disparity we're going to see is in the mid and in the jungle. I think the Perkz is performing out of his mind right now. And I think in synergy with Trick, that should be enough to crush Splyce.
So Perks will turn it around for G2. What about you?
Well, I think G2 will take it 2-1. I actually think Splice is getting better and better, and I think they have enough tools to at least take one game here. A lot of it comes down to Trashy and Wonder together, getting like a strong early combo where they can play around Expect and try and shut him down and get Wonder going. Because I think the bot lane is going to be even with how Sven and Mythi is performing right now. I think Senkux can hold his own, but I need to see Trashy with a strong early game, and then I think Splice can take a game.
All right, well, we will see what happens in this matchup as we send it over to the casters for game 1.